The Lord does work in mysterious...
Brimstone is the biggest piece of to ever appear in a video game, and that includes the guy in Conker's Bad Fur Day who is a literal giant dancing poop man. His armor is non-existent. The slightest tap from anything that isn't a blue health pickup will kill him instantly. His speed is nowhere near where it should be to offset that pitiful armor. His handling is like his wheels were replaced by blocks of ice. Even the game's physics don't like Brimstone, as even the most minor maneuvers will cause him to flip out of control wildly. And there's nothing you can do. He cannot be contained. His special weapon is an actual joke. Not only does it take a miracle to connect with a target, but even when it does, it would be faster to tickle your opponent to death. During gameplay, Brimstone is an unholy nightmare to behold, lacking in every measurable way. The only remotely redeemable aspect of Brimstone is its undeniable style. The windows are stained glass, which I guess means you don't need to see where you're going if Jeebus has the wheel.
And then the creature abandoned me, right when I needed it the most.
A crucifix has been mounted to the hood so that the preacher's devoted followers can be adorned on its end like a brutal hood ornament and launched as a projectile of salvation. A filthy sinner lays in its bed, wrapped in a tarp and tied down with chains. Judgment might best be left to the Lord, but we can't expect him to do all the punishing, can we?
Suck a fart out of Satan's ass!
Twisted Metal Black is full of crusty edgelord nonsense stories, but The Preacher's remains a legitimately fascinating tale about the infinitely complex and mysterious ways a mind can trick itself into believing anything, especially when it so desperately wants to be tricked. It's a great setup, great punchline, and very well executed. It's dark without being cheesy and stupid. It's a shame that very few players have ever seen it naturally, because that requires getting through the game as Brimstone, which is impossible. The Preacher also makes a cameo appearance in Sweet Tooth's story. During Sweet Tooth's attempted execution, it was Preacher who stepped in and cursed him to bear the flames of hell upon his head. Seeing as the game takes place entirely within the mind of Sweet Tooth, I'm not surprised he gave Preacher the worst vehicle by far. Sweet Tooth was cursed with flaming hair. The Preacher was cursed with this pile of shit. It's a fair trade, I guess.
Suck my holy...
No matter how good a story is though, it can't make up for the shit-chugging travesty of playing through the game as Brimstone, let alone on the hardest difficulty. But I did it anyway. Will I ever recover from it? Likely not, but it's only when you summit the highest mountains that you can appreciate their view. And as a Twisted Metal speedrunner, this feels like a rite of passage. Allow me to document my journey. Adversity is the catalyst for self-growth, for becoming the person you're meant to be. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a whole-ass truckload of adversity. The journey begins on Junkyard. This is usually the least difficult fight in the entire game. Junkyard is supposed to ease players into the tournament and prepare them for what's ahead. In addition to being a simple layout, it has the fewest and most forgiving enemies. However, on the hardest difficulty, even this becomes an insurmountable challenge. Playing Twisted Metal Black is already the equivalent of asking to be repeatedly kicked in the groin, but playing it on hard mode is like letting it get a running start. Enemies are more aggressive, have more health, and overall give less f***s about you having fun. It's a brutal test of endurance. It took no less than 5 restarts just to get through this first level. My first attempts were spent just getting a feel for how this could even be possible. The AI wasted 0 time in making me regret undertaking such a challenge.
Give me your f***ing...
Twisted Metal Black forces you to be on your toes at all moments. The AI will make you pay dearly for every mistake. You have to be sharp, decisive, and deadly. Any hesitation is an opportunity for enemies to swoop in and ruin your day. I have to come up with a plan. Scattershot chaos is just not gonna cut it. Brimstone is moderately fast and has limited armor, so my best bet for survival would be to utilize a hit and run strategy. Stock up on punchy, high damage weapons and fire them off as quickly as I can at enemies before running away like a little sissy baby. This playstyle emphasizes weapons like the power missile, gas can, and skill-based pickups, which can deal the most damage in the quickest amount of time. I should be able to include Brimstone's special weapon on that list, but it's so unreliable that it's not even worth using most of the time. It's more of a last resort type of weapon. I mean, watch the little man just wholly avoid the very big, very close, and very huggable Sweet Tooth in favor of the guy like 5 miles away and around a corner. You know, for a man-based special weapon, he sure does have a mind of his own. Conversely, weapons like the homing missile or ricochet are more of a nice seasoning atop the entree of ass-kicking brought by the other, more powerful tools of destruction. This strategy also emphasizes good driving, which, well, yeah, wish me luck there.
Fuck you, devil!
Brimstone's handling is subpar, leading to him sliding around way more than I would like. Enemies swarm like crack-addicted zombies, all coordinating their attacks against me, to which there is no defense. The only way I can make this work would be to single out opponents and try to face them one-on-one. So I retreated to the warehouse in the center of the map, which housed some useful weapons, but more importantly, it was confusing for the enemies to get inside of, and so they couldn't get in all at once. That doesn't mean, however, that I was successful in turning the tides of battle in my favor, but at least I stood a better chance. The enemies had their fair share of my all the way up. Eventually, I had a run where my strategy worked out, and I whittled the opponents down just enough to confidently emerge from my hidey hole and finish the fight. Low on health and terrified of what these baddies are capable of, I shot down the jet that circles the map, hoping to sneak the health pickup within the tunnel that opens when it crashes. Of course though, the best laid plans often go awry. As I ran down to collect my health, the awful physics conspired against Brimstone, and left me helpless versus a bricked up roadkill who instantly annihilated me. Undeterred, I ran it back with the same strategy, which paid off. Finally, the first level was down, after like 20 minutes. If you've enjoyed this video so far, please take a moment to leave a like to let me know, and consider subscribing so you don't miss any future uploads. It goes a long way in supporting this channel and motivates me to keep making more videos. Alright, back to the video. I picked Suburbs for the next battle. If it's a map that's good enough for legendary speedrunner Lord Raiden, it's good enough for me. Plus the neighborhood has a church, so it's home turf for old Jebediah. Speaking of the neighborhood, I stuck around there for this level. I thought this map would take more attempts than it did, especially if the first level could be any indication. Suburbs has an extra enemy, meaning there's one more car for Brimstone to be ravaged by. My enormous throbbing skills were tested, but somehow I passed with flying little man colors. On hard mode, you are allowed only one use of the health bridge, so combining that with the 2 extra lives you're given, you effectively have 4 full health bars to work with. Anything else has to come from health pickups scattered around the map. I have to treat this as a war of attrition, and exhaust every last bit of my available hit points, hoping that I end up outlasting my opponent. It's a sloppy, barbaric way to play, but it's my way, damn it. Deal with it. At the start of these levels, I am hyper aggressive, outputting apocalyptic damage, the likes of which this demented world has never seen. But as the fight wears on, I slowly become more cautious and timid. A successful run relies heavily on the opening minutes of the level and how much damage I can deal before entering my self-preservation mode. Suburbs was forgiving towards my efforts, and I swiftly moved on to Highway Loop. I chose Highway Loop solely because it features a bottomless pit for which I could convince enemies to throw themselves, because I'll take anything to avoid fighting these monsters head to head. This meant straddling the bridge and hoping the baddies got tired of kicking my ass up and down the street and decided to go for a swim. On my first attempt, Axel took the bait, but few others were willing to join. However, if Axel's off the table, that's a major victory in my book.
I had not been more careful.
Unfortunately, the rest of the enemies were not so kind, and I had to restart. This level has nowhere to hide. It's a long strip of highway that loops in on itself, hence the name. On the attempt that went all the way, I saw Crazy 8 make this bizarre choice to swerve abruptly into a health pickup, leading to him flying off into the warm embrace of the void. I can only explain that as a rare example of the AI showing mercy. Otherwise, I guess Crazy 8 only now decided to act like he has no eyes.
But when you look like I do, it's probably for the best.
Ironically, after I killed everyone else, only Axel remained as the last dude to contend with. Seriously, f*** you, Axel. The first boss battle against Minion was when I started to consider if I even had it in me to finish this tournament with Brimstone. I was really doubting myself here. Minion can be a taunting, horrid asshole, even on easy mode. His magic f***off shield will negate any and all damage until the panels are destroyed, and he's very good at making sure he keeps at least one of those panels away from you. With the Lord as my shepherd, I was led into battle with nothing more than faith and hope to guide me. The only way to guarantee failure is to not even try, so I rode into Minion Stadium aboard my steel chariot, and did my best. Somehow it was enough. I was melded instantly by Minion's furious hose of fire, but I kept marching on and took out his shield on my second life. I gathered more weapons and did as much damage as possible before getting torched again. On my last life, I gobbled up as many pickups as I could and finished off the beast. Whatever I had left in my inventory would be vital to my success on the next level. It is so vital, in fact, that when I have to restart later on, I'll reload a save from the main menu just to get my weapons back rather than muscle through with the starting inventory. Prison Passage is such a kick in the ass that it took 40 minutes and almost a half dozen attempts to get past. It starts by locking you in a confined room with 2 enemies. It is completely random who you're stuck fighting. You might get lucky and placed with some tottering slob like Manslaughter or Darkseid, whose massive hitboxes make them an easy target for gas cans and power missiles. Or you can be trapped in there with someone like Roadkill or Grim, whose special weapons might as well be nuclear bombs by how devastating they are.
Damn it to hell!
My first attempt pitted me against Outlaw and Manslaughter. The weapons I brought in from Minion Stadium were perfect for walloping these stupid shits, but it also lulled me into thinking I had a chance to breeze through this level. These dudes stood zero chance against me. 2 more enemies popped in when the doors opened to the next area. These are also randomly chosen. I got Grim and Darkseid, which became a combination of assholes that became too much to handle. In round 2, I had to tangle with Junkyard Dog and Spectre. This did not go as smoothly as the first time because Junkyard Dog, while an easy target, is pretty liberal when it comes to his special weapon. Most of my health was gone by the time I was done with him, leaving the always elusive Spectre to only need a few shots to take me out. Things didn't get any better in the next phase because Yellow Jacket and Grim were waiting for me. Another restart. Okay, 3rd time's a charm, right? I got Roadkill and Shadow, not a great combo, but I'll see what happens.
Mary Jesus
Okay, this is still salvageable. I expect to get wasted at least 1 time on the boat sections, so it's not too bad. Oh, but outside is Crazy 8 and Outlaw, another tricky duo to fight.
Oh, Lord!
Round 4. Oh great, I guess we're running it back with Manslaughter and Outlaw. Not as clean as the first time around, but not bad either. Outside is Shadow and Warhawk. That's not the worst thing ever. Shadow can be a jerk, but Warhawk is a pushover. I finally got off the boat into the rest of the level, with the chance to do something. 6 opponents left and still 1 extra life in my pocket. Let's do this. Warhawk was a slouch, so there's no surprise there. Shadow felt the power of a reticle, turning her into a burning scrap pile. Darkseid has 1 move, and that's to slam her giant truck into you repeatedly.
I was a bad girl one time.
But even she gets tired of that after some time, making her no trouble once she gets tuckered out. The remaining opponents would not be so kind though. Grim and Spectre have made a name for themselves as enemies against whom you could not land a clean shot. Despite the hassle, I finally reached the end. Now it's time for a little breaky on snowy roads. My signature recipe of destruction is ready to be served on an icy platter. Now it's my turn to make this game feel inferior and stupid. If I stock up on gas cans and environmental weapons, all I need to do is head to this subtle little overhang on the outskirts of the map. As enemies come down to join me, I can hit them with gas cans, causing them to bounce further into the air, overshoot their jump, and continue falling until the kill box below claims them. Oh, how the turns have tabled, my sweet summer f***ass jerks. Back to the real action. No more cheap exploits. It's all about using pure skill to dominate the competition, and not falling hundreds of stories off a skyscraper, or getting hit by a wrecking ball. Okay, this game. I got into a bit of a rhythm with Brimstone. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, he's still trash tier sewer piss, but I got better at working with him. I like that his machine gun fires a single stream of bullets, making it much easier to get the most out of mega guns. His special, while not especially strong, is easier to land if I treat it more like a melee weapon. Launching the little man at point blank range gives him no room to miss wildly and fly off into outer space or whatever. Overall, Brimstone was playable. Awful, but playable. Let the deluge of blood, the reign of metal terror, begin.
Destroy it.
We made it to the last level, something that I thought could never be done with Brimstone. But we have the biggest challenge yet. If Brimstone is the biggest pile of shit in gaming, that leaves Warhawk with the silver shit medal, because this dude f***ing reeks. There's a reason the speedrunning community calls him Snorhawk. He's a f***ing helicopter with a magic shield that can only be taken down when 3 tankers are exploded next to him. It's f***ing stupid. The whole game has been about cars on the same vertical axis as me, but now I have to contend with this thing? My little man has enough trouble hitting someone directly in front of me, let alone this clown heli. This is like spending all semester in school learning about American history, and the final exam is to draw a picture of the American flag. It's related, I guess, but nothing I learned is being tested. But wow, I actually did it on the first try, holy shit. And that's how I beat Brimstone on the hardest difficulty, something I really didn't think I could do. As Winston Churchill once said, "We shall draw from the heart of suffering itself the means of inspiration and survival." Because I have done it. I have crawled into the unfathomable abyss, stumbled through unthinkable darkness, and gazed upon unspeakable horror. I have done the impossible. I have beaten Twisted Metal Black on its hardest difficulty using Brimstone. For anyone who ever doubted me,
Suck my holy balls!
and with that, take a moment to remember that you are worth it. Pain is a certainty in life, but suffering doesn't have to be. I hope you can find the people, things, and activities around you that make you happy, healthy, and kind, so that the pain of life doesn't have to mean suffering. Your darkest moments don't define you, and there's always a tomorrow. Take care out there, and have a nice day.